Three types of automations that you should be putting into your business using a tool like Zapier or another automation tool like Make.com. Welcome to the channel and welcome to my videos. Here we cover everything that's AI for real estate. We cover automations, lead generation, all that sort of stuff. It's just a lot of tutorials to try and help you do better every single day. So let's dig into it. I'm on my Zapier account, as you can see, and we've got a ton of different that we use for our business. And I thought today would be a great day to go through some of them, especially the main ones that you should have. So the first automation that you should have is an automation that ties your emailing program together with your CRM. A lot of people will build their email campaigns directly into their CRM or their email lists directly into their CRM. I'm not a super big fan of that. And the reason I say that is because if you ever decide to change your CRM, you have to rebuild everything from scratch. With that being said, we use Monday.com for our CRM. There are automations to make sure that that lead, when it comes in, gets moved over to, say, the lead newsletter or the buyer follow-up campaign, that sort of idea. So let's take a look at one of them right now. So this is an example of a follow-up form that goes from our website, so TerraLions.com or TerraLions.ca, both of them go to the same place. And they fill out the form from here, and we use Formidable Forms for our forms on our website, but you can use Gravity Forms, you can use Ninja Forms. There's all sorts of programs out there. The key is that you want to be able to set it up so that that's the trigger. A trigger is when an event occurs. So in this case, the event is a lead coming in or somebody filling out the form and hitting the submit button. That automatically goes into Zapier, and from Zapier we have to format a few things so that it works smoothly with Monday.com. And then what it does is it looks to see if this person is already in Monday.com, because they may be like somebody who's already contacted us, they may be a past client, or they may be a new lead. So it looks to see if they're in Monday.com. If they are in Monday.com, it sends them over here and it updates them, so you can see the update down here. If they are not in Monday.com, adds them and puts them into a new lead for us, so that, and then a person gets assigned to it and they get notified that they should contact this lead, so we can follow up quickly because we have these notifications that occur. So that's how this automation occurs, and I think it's a really important one. Look, if you like what you're seeing and you enjoyed what you're watching, just hit the like button, hit the subscribe. It's the only way I know that you love the content that's going out there and I'm on the right track for things that are really helpful to you guys. I really appreciate it. If there's questions you have, fire them off in the comments or send me a DM or send me an email. I'd love to hear from you and we'll do our best to answer your questions. So this is leads into your CRM. We follow that up with when a new lead is brought in. So an example is this one here, a new contact comes into Monday, we capture that hook from the previous Zape. So these two work together, right? A new lead comes in and then Zapier picks it up, checks to make sure they're in Monday.com or not in Monday.com, and then adds them to, if they're not in Monday.com already, it adds them, makes sure it adds all the correct tags, and then dumps them over to AccombaMail, which is like, it's what we use for mailing out our newsletter and doing our campaigns. It's like a MailChimp or a MailerLite. So we actually also have used MailerLite and MailChimp in the past. And so over time, we've just updated it with whatever software we're using. So the upside is when I change that software, I only have to change this. I do not have to change this whole automation. And so it makes it really easy to make sure that we get our same automations without big changes. So that's moving it from Monday over to our mailing program. So that's another automation, or the next automation that you need. Let's go further down. This is assigning people to a specific newsletter. So just based on tags. So if it looks in Monday.com if something's been changed, and if their email tag has been changed to email newsletter or to realtor newsletter or to leads newsletter, these are different newsletters that we have that go out monthly, right? Then it filters the conditions, adds them to that correct subscriber under AccombaMail, and you can see here I still have MailerLite running in concurrently because we just changed it over, so I want to make sure that I have them going to both locations. Another automation that's going from Monday and assigning somebody who changed in Monday.com to the correct email list. This is leads generated from mailings that we do. So an example is And I think this is a really important automation too, because you get so much back, you don't know what you're supposed to respond to. So we do a newsletter every month, and in that newsletter, there is a contest. And in that contest, we get their name, their number, just so that later on, if they win, we can get a hold of them. But we also, in that contest, have a field, a little checkbox that says, are you interested in buying and selling real estate, and would you like us to contact you? And so that way, if somebody responds with that, we want that to be filtered out, and we want that to go into a new lead in Monday.com so that they can immediately be notified. So that's what happens here. They fill out the form. If it gets filtered, so you can see here, it isn't much to look at, but you can see 435. I'm thinking about my business options, or my thinking about buying and would like to discuss my options, is the whole that's being used. So it filters that out, and then it sends it to Monday.com, puts it as a new lead, assigns a person to it, checks to see if they're already in there. Once already, if they aren't, then if it is, it updates them and then re-notifies the person. But if they are not in there, then it creates the lead, assigns a person, notifies them that they should get a hold of them right away. Most of these people are already in there, so you just have to say that it's a new lead and they'll follow up with it. So again, this falls under the category of lead automation. You can see we have like automation for people that are already in our database. So things that are just moving stuff around, right? We don't want to have to manually do that, because automation does it cleaner, more accurately, and it's just time we shouldn't be spending doing. But then we have automations that take care of leads to make sure they get into the database and the agent's following up with it. We do the same thing with Facebook. So with Facebook, the lead comes in, it splits it into a path. The paths are they a buyer, different type of buyer coming from a different form, or are they a seller lead coming in from the seller lead ads? And then they move that into Monday.com. And again, it looks to see if they already exist. If they exist, great. It updates them, notifies the agent that's been assigned to contact them. If it's a new person, then it creates it and assigns a person, and then they can get a hold of them right away. So this is really important, because again, you want to follow up with those leads quickly, and you want to make sure they get in the database so that at the end of the year you can look and see where your leads came from and how many converted into actual business. So then we have automation that allows us to respond faster to people. I think most of us heard that you have to respond within 5 minutes if you're going to be able to get a hold of somebody. That number came out a good 10 years ago, and it's dropped significantly. 5 minutes is now too long to take to respond to a lead, unfortunately. So we've been introducing automations that allow us to respond within 60 seconds to a lead, and one of them is by text. So this is an example of a new lead gets moved into Monday.com. Doesn't matter where that lead comes from. They come in. If they have a phone number, we give like a few seconds for Monday.com to do its automations, and Zapier picks it up, and then it formats some of the text so that it's correct. And then it sends a text out. And so the text that it sends out is, hi, whoever the client is. So let's say it's Bill, right? It's Tom or whatever team member from Team Lions. Thanks for reaching out. Was there a question I could answer for you right away? And so that gets text immediately to them. And if they respond, we have a second automation that occurs, because we're using Twilio and Shorty SMS to handle these incoming and outgoing texts. So the outgoing text, says, do you have a question? Can we answer it for you? And now they respond with, yes, I would like to know the price of whatever such and such a house. And so first it formats the number, it goes into Monday.com, and it checks to see who that individual was and who they're assigned to, gets that information and updates it with the response they just sent. So right? Because now we know what the question is. So we want to make sure the CRM has that conversation in it and gets updated. And then it looks to go, who's assigned to it? Is Joe assigned to it? Is Tom assigned to it? Is Tara assigned to it? It looks to see who is supposed to be receiving that text from the individual. And then it sends the text directly to the salesperson. So now the conversation has been removed out of the automation altogether and is now in the hands to manually have that conversation, because you want to have authentic, real conversation with the client now that they've responded. And so we're taking the automation away so that we can handle the client correctly, like with a personal touch. But the point is that within 60 seconds, we're able to respond to somebody via text and ask what their question was and start taking care of their needs immediately. Okay, so let's talk about automations that are just purely about saving time. They're not about leads. They're not about advertising. They're not about moving information between CRMs and other programs. They're just about saving me time. And I've got two of them. I've got the Royal LePage summaries. So this goes in, and I get like a ton of emails from Royal LePage, our broker, and which is great because they love to keep us informed, and I love staying informed. But there's a ton of them in the course of the day, and if I click each one of them, I end up spending, like, each one might take me a minute, but if I get 30 of them, that's a half an hour gone out of the course of the day. And it's distracting too, right? Like, you get another notification that an email's come in, and it eats up your time. So what I have is I have the email come in, moved out of my inbox and labeled. And anything that gets labeled, how I identify them is by the email address, because I know our office email addresses. And so any emails that come in get labeled, and then they get put into a digest, which is what you see right here. So if I show you, right, I have the subject, the body, and who it's from, and it just creates a digest of every single one of them. And then at 4 p.m., it triggers this and sends it to ChatGPT. And ChatGPT just summarizes it for me. This is literally the prompt, super easy prompt. Please summarize this digest into a bulleted email for quick consumption to understand the notifications that came in. And then it takes the digest and it summarizes it for me. Right? And then your helpful assistant loves to summarize and consume and understand. And then it fires off the email to me. You can see right here, boom. Right, Royal LePage Daily Summary comes in at 4 p.m. every single day, and I'm good to go. Easy peasy. So I have it do that, and then I also get a lot of updates from Monday.com in the course of the day. So as our client coordinator does stuff in Monday.com, and our sales team does Monday.com, and I do things in Monday.com, Monday notifies me that these changes are occurring, so I can see when prices get changed in the system or something gets done on a listing or whatever. They're important things for me to stay up to date with too. But again, I don't need to see 40 of them over the course of the day and then stop what I'm doing, look at the email and go, oh, just a checklist was done. Instead, what I want is a summary at 4 p.m. near the end of the day that I can just look at and go, this is what happened over the course of the day, and I can ask questions. To know what's going on in the business just as a summary at the end of the day is really great. And I can look at that summary. It takes me less than 5 minutes, and I save myself 40 minutes because I didn't have to read each of these notifications individually. So same thing happens. Email gets created, or checks where the email comes from and assigns a label to it, sends it to a digest. ChatGPT redoes the whole thing and then sends the email for me with a nice summary at the end of the day. Those two automations alone probably save me an hour a day just of time, like just time sink. You don't even realize you're spending that hour doing that stuff. So it's really good. And what happens is with emails like the Royal LePage ones and the Monday.com ones, you get in the habit of going, I don't have time for this, and you highlight them and you delete them, which means now you're not staying up to date anyway. So to be able to stay up to date and save the time, gold, absolute gold. So, and then other things that I have are things like having it create transcripts for our YouTube videos. So I'll have, say, our market report that needs to go out. Tara films it. I take it, I edit it, and then once I'm done editing it, I dump it into Google Drive. And then from in Google Drive, I have a automation that basically takes it out of Google Drive, in this case Notion database too, and then sends it to HappyScribe to be translated or transcribed. And then once it's transcribed, it comes back from HappyScribe, and then it creates a text from the file, or it grabs the text from the file that HappyScribe sent, and then OpenAI will read the transcription, create 5 amazing YouTube titles with strong hooks, 5 YouTube descriptions, like a bunch of stuff for me automatically. You can see it just creates a whole ton of stuff, adds the extra things that I want added to it, and then sends them over to my Notion for me to just copy and paste in to YouTube, that sort of idea. So super easy automation to do. You could do it 100 different ways, but that's how I'm doing that one. To do it, I have ones that do full, like these are the ones that when the HappyScribe transcript comes back, it looks at it and it knows where the video file is because here's the Google Drive folder for it, and then it writes a Twitter post, schedules the Twitter post, creates a LinkedIn post, schedules a LinkedIn post, creates a Facebook post, schedules a Facebook post, and then sends them all as draft, so I can just review them to make sure that they're good, edit them if I need to change them, and then just go post, and I'm done, right? So like that used to take me a long time, and now it just takes me minutes to be able to do. So these are how automations can save you a ton of time.